Aloha, beautiful beings. Excuse me. I am here in Mexico, so the internet is not so great. So I'm pre-recording this for you all, and I'm really excited to be part of this conference and this to share this information with you that I've gathered through my experiences throughout the years. A little bit about myself that you should know. I've been working with plant medicines now for the past 4.5 years intentionally and pretty much throughout my life, um, maybe recreationally and not so intentionally. But with that, I feel like they're teaching us regardless of our intentions. But when we do have an intention and we come to these plant medicines with sacred reverence, the experience becomes much more meaningful and insightful, and we gain the ability to really look deep into our self-awareness, into our conscious expansion. Um, I've had multiple cannabis businesses. I've been in the cannabis industry since 2016 with a creative agency, Redefining Cannabis. I started the first global cannabis retreat company, Cannabis Retreats. We had retreats all over the world, California, Canada, Jamaica, and that ended in the June right before June 2019, and then we, of course, had to stop doing retreats in 2020. I also have a Celestial Smokes brands company under the brand of Celestial Alchemica. Celestial Smokes are organic hemp-based pre-rolls mixed with sacred blends, and I've been working specifically with magic mushrooms, offering the sacred medicine with guidance and ceremony for the past year, and we'll get into a little bit that at the end. But I want to dive in because we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to set my timer so I make sure that I stay on course. And here we go. So this presentation is based on a guide that I've been in the middle of writing, almost complete now. And it's pretty much a guide for people to take their self journey with magic mushrooms. And the reason that I felt really that this guide was so important is because I am an alchemist of this medicine. And when I work with people, I would get a lot of questions: how to use it, how to dose, what to expect, how to feel. And so this is a synopsis of the guide. It's not the full guide, but it's the highlights. And I really feel like it has offered a lot of value. I also did an online retreat this past year where we worked with cannabis and magic mushrooms, and it was a weekend retreat on Zoom. And this guide served as a basic outline of how to set up your ceremonial space so you can have the best experience. So let's get started. Here we go. Ooh, oops. So pretty much, part of our, and I'm going to kind of jump around in terms of plant medicine, magic mushrooms, and also our conscious awakening on this planet and what's happening right now. And I believe that a big reason why we're turning to plant medicines is because we are seeing that our programming for many, many years has created limiting belief systems within us that has prevented us from achieving our connection to source, has kept us separated in that sense, has kept us in states of anxiety and depression and stress and internal chaos. And as our spirit is collectively waking up, we're looking for allies and tools to assist in our awakening, in our individual awakening, in our collective awakening. And what's happening now is we're realizing that we are not, our lives are not based on, our reality is not based on our definition of who we are through our jobs and our titles and our environment, is that we actually are creating everything around us from our perspectives and our ability to tap into the quantum and bring in the choice realities, but that has to align with our belief systems and our emotions. And plant medicines allow us to bypass the sense of self and our ego and really access our higher connection and our higher selves so that we can create the life that we truly deserve, which I call our divine inheritance. So, welcome to the first step of your journey. The present moment awaits. And, a huge part of what we're doing here is to access the infinite present moments, because anxiety and fear and stress live in the past and they live in the future. And what's happening is that on our program, running in our minds, we're constantly bringing in our past experiences, our past traumas into the present, and we're really living them over and over again, which is preventing us from our unlimited potential of creating a future that we don't really know exists, because we're so afraid to dive into the unknown, because we're grasping on to what is known. The mind is trying to grasp on to what is known, which keeps us in fight or flight. Plant medicines allow us to step into a state of homeostasis and a state of ego death, which can be painful. But once we surrender to that, we become extremely present, and that allows us to be the divine creators that we are and gain true insight into what our soul really needs from us in order to have the most meaningful and purposeful life. So I just want you to close your eyes right now, and we're just going to drop into our belly. I like to bring in awareness and kind of open the space for the collective to drop in. And I ask that the wisdom of these plant medicines offer me the words and the guidance to communicate from my highest perspective, from the highest perspective of the collective, and from the highest perspective of these plants, to provide what is needed right now, to inspire people to come home to themselves, to remember who they really are, to connect with their spirit, to connect with their joy, to connect with their hearts, and to open their hearts and leave from the heart space so that they can make decisions based on their true coherence and divine knowing. I thank you for all the wisdom. I thank you for showing up today. I thank you for spirit to help me be a vessel that can communicate what I believe is the truth that our humanity needs right now. Aho. So we're going to go just touch on the basics. There's 4 aspects of when we enter into the experience of magic mushrooms. We have the onset, the peak, the come down, and the integration, and what happens during, what to expect when you go on a journey. This is not the same as a microdose. So we're talking about a journey. We'll go more into that, those different levels of dosing after. So the onset usually happens depending on the method of consumption, which we'll talk about in a bit. It can happen within 30 minutes to an hour, and it typically feels like, like this slow rise, and your body starts feeling wobbly and kind of mushy, and then you feel like you're being taken out and into another dimension, so to speak. And sometimes people do feel nausea when it comes to magic mushrooms, and that's just our body processing what it thinks is a form of poison, a foreign substance. For most people, it's bearable, and some people don't even feel it. Others, they do have a challenge with that. So it really is individual. And I just want to preference right now that what I'm saying right now is a general kind of overview, but every single individual is going to experience this differently because our DNA is not the same as everybody else's. So just like cannabis and every other medicine, everything we ingest and everything we take into our body, every experience for every individual is different, but there is a general overview that we can use as a guide to help us as we navigate our own journey. So once the onset comes in, it usually lasts about 30 minutes to an hour, and then we go right into the peak. The peak is the highest point. This is where you're usually going to see your visuals, and it could be the most pleasant and euphoric, or it could be the most challenging. This part could last from 2 to 4 hours, and this is the time to surrender, let go, and really connect to the wisdom of the mushrooms and the wisdom of your higher self. After the peak, we have the come down, which is usually with mushrooms. It's gentle, it's slow. Sometimes you feel tired. But, for the most part, you can have a sense of exhaustion with also inability to sleep. It's a good time when you're coming down just to like take it all in. And this is a good time to journal and write down your thoughts and write down your feelings. And this is a place where typically people feel, even if they've been through a challenging time, where that sense of peace comes in, that sense of accomplishment. Oh wow, I just went through it. I saw myself, and it's just a powerful time and one of the most rewarding times of the experience. And then we have the integration, which comes after. And this can take days, it can take weeks. I just had an epiphany of my ayahuasca journey that I had 4 years ago, literally come to me. Another layer revealed to me today. So, this is an ongoing integration process. And it's so important that you take the time in your everyday life to integrate what you're going through in your journeys. It's not a quick fix. We're not doing a one size fits all pill here. So let's talk about methods of consumption. The way the mushrooms are consumed, they do have a direct impact of the potency, the duration, and how you're experiencing it. Like I said, every single person is different. I've seen as I mentor people will take it one way and they'll feel it stronger, and another way they won't feel it at all. So this is you being a guinea pig, but also kind of understanding each way we can consume. So dried raw mushrooms are the most popular. They do have the longest shelf life. You can freeze it. You want to keep them in an enclosed container and in a dark space. Um, some people don't like the taste. It's very earthy. They do grow in manure a lot of the times, depending on where you get them. And it can cause the upset stomach. Anytime you're digesting it, it can cause some unsettling in the stomach. It's important that you have a scale so that you're weighing out and you're sure how much you're actually getting. You can eat them fresh, and these should be eaten within, I think, 1 week. And I think that they're a little bit stronger when they're fresh, but this is more research that I have to look into than they are dried. Most people don't have the option of getting them fresh unless they're growing them or they know growers. A very popular way is to bake them and make them in chocolates, which is what I do. And, depending on what you mix them with, I add adaptogens, which add an entourage effect, and they're really good for the brain, as well as cacao is a heart opener. It actually gets into the bloodstream faster. And these added ingredients amplify the experience, and they also enhance the flavors. You can have really awesome tasting chocolates like I make. And then you can drink them in a tea, or you can extract them. And this actually could mitigate the stomach because you're not digesting it. The onset is typically quicker. The journey could be more intense but shorter. I've heard people not feel much from tea. And then for me personally, I've had really intense experiences on tea. So it's something just to explore and see how it works for you. So, dosing protocols is super important with any medicine. And I want to go through, every person is unique, like I said. So, the sensitivity of how you react to any type of dose, like some people need, like with cannabis, some people need like 40 milligrams of THC to actually feel anything. Others, 5 milligrams is enough. So, it's good to start slowly, but here's the thing with magic mushrooms. In my opinion, I think that we need to like maybe dive in the first time and go for the journey and then try the microdosing, because I feel like that allows us to really connect with the experience and the full experience. It's very different than cannabis. So if you've had like a very challenging experience with an edible, it's not the same at all, and I would not compare them at all, and that's a different conversation. But it's interesting to there's a kind of debate out there whether or not you should start microdosing and then go into the big dose, or just dive right in and then scale back and know where your microdose is. So again, it really depends on what you're looking for out of your journey. Just review quickly. A microdose typically ranges from zero point 0.1 gram to zero point 0.5 grams at the max. It can give you a lot of energy, focus, and a sense of well-being and peace. A lot of people use it to be productive during the day, creativity, and it helps. A lot of the research today is showing that it helps with PTSD, anxiety, and generally giving you a sense of calm and well-being throughout your day, so you can manage your stress better and feel more connected to the present moment. Sometimes a microdose can activate your emotions, and especially if you're on the higher level of the point 0.5, sometimes if you could end up sporadically crying or feeling uncomfortable, and that is the medicine showing you what you need to know. So in any case, never resist. Just go into it. Just hopefully you're not in the middle of like work or something, right? But typically people like work with they try it in a space where they feel safe before they go out into the office or the workplace and start microdosing. And so the next, and a microdose usually can last quite a few hours, that state of well-being. And there are protocols, how often to do it, like a few protocols. You take 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, or one every other day, or, it is said that you build a tolerance. So taking it every day is not recommended. Also, because of the lasting effects, it's also not necessarily necessary. And most people who microdose for a few months realize that they don't really need it anymore. And I mean, this is the point. We're not looking to use these as crutches. They're supposed to be tools, and it's different than pharma medicine, which we can get addicted to. So low dose is 1 to 2 grams, depending on your sensitivity. This is a great place to meditate, gain some insight, less mind chatter, really drop into the present moment. This can last, a few hours. It's good for brainstorming, connecting with nature, going outside, being with friends. I always say when you're in this dose, it's best to be around other people who are also dosing. When people are not on the same level, it can kind of pull you out of your frequency, which can mess up the experience a little bit. And then we're in the journey. The journey is when you go deep. And usually this is between 2 to 4 grams, again, depending on your sensitivity, and, leaning towards a 3 to 4 gram range. I go on a journey on 2 grams. Also, it depends on the strains, which is a whole other thing that will be in my guide. As you start seeing visuals, you start leaving your body, you get access to deep wisdom, ego dissolve, allowing us to look at our life from the perspective of our heart knowing and our higher self. And, this is a place where you really surrender to the experience. So I have to whiz through this because time is running out quickly. Wow. So let's talk about a ceremony. You want to start with setting your intentions and meditating and really getting into a calm, relaxing state. It's really important, the state you're in. Actually, this was a little out of order, but we have the 5 gram heroes dose, which Terrence McKenna, he actually coined that term. And this is where you're just totally blasted out of your body. You can connect with beings, you can connect with out of body experiences, different dimensions. It's really intense, and it's not for the faint of heart. This is typically 5 grams or more and can last about 8 hours. So let's go back to the ceremony. We're creating a ceremonial space. So set and setting, I'm sure you've heard, is really, really important. But here's some mantras that you can write down and sit with before you start your journey. You're laying expectations at the door. You're open to receiving communication. You're here for the greater good of the collective, and you're in service to you and your higher self. You want to be free from all distractions of people, TV, social media, everything. Like literally shut it all down, and tell everybody around you that you're going to be in a journey so they don't disrupt you, because it could be very challenging when you're in it and somebody like just jolts you out of it, and just be committed to being present. Make sure your space, like I said, doesn't have outside interruptions, loud noises, anything that can really be abrupt. Have a conversation with people you're living with, and surround yourself with things that you love and you feel comforted in. Sage yourself, clear the energy, and really put, you're going to be on an inward journey. So what you have outside doesn't really matter, but you want to have water, maybe a couple of snacks. I doubt you'll be hungry, but it's good just to have that with you and be super, super comfortable so you can just relax, lie down, and, just drop into your body. You want to have good climate. People tend to run cold with mushrooms. And, you can keep a journal next to you. That's really important. If you have insights you want to write down. And then have some mantras if it gets challenging. A good one that I love is a Ho'oponopono, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you can repeat that over and over if you start to feel uncomfortable or challenged in your journey. And remember, always come back to love. Put your hand on your heart. That's important if you're feeling challenged, or if you're starting to get insights that are bringing up old traumas and things like that. And it's really good to just keep your hand on your heart and really returning to loving yourself and love in general. Essential oils can activate the senses, but sometimes the essential oils that you thought you liked don't smell so good in your ceremony. So when you're under the influence of the medicine, it's good to have food ready when you're done to ground you. It's really good. And, pets are good to have around as long as you don't have to take them out and they're not needy, and they could just be there as your medicine dogs or cats, and just cuddling you and being there as sort of a safe, comforting being that you love. Music is so important. There's many playlists out there. It's really good to there's specific playlists that actually can take you through your journey. I have playlists I can recommend. I would say avoid any music that has nostalgic references. You don't want to be pulled into past memories unless it's something that the mushrooms are specifically showing you that you need to see. And choose a good playlist. Make sure it lasts 4 to 6 hours. Uninterrupted. Have charged phone, charged speakers, charge earbuds. Turn your phone on airplane mode. Make sure it's downloaded. The worst thing is to be interrupted with a commercial, or just the music stops automatically because it's not charged. Again, have this all prepared so that you can fully surrender and not think about what's coming next. It's going to be a really important part of this journey. And so we talk about our intentions are so important to guide yourself. What is your intention? What is your divine intention? How do you want to connect with this medicine? So mushrooms will amplify and show you what you need to know. But also when you have an intention, you're going in and you're asking for help and you're asking for insight and wisdom. So it's good to write it down. And this is a really good way to start connecting with the wisdom that you want to get from yourself and your higher and the medicine. So how to meet the medicine. So as soon as you start feeling it coming on, it's good to practice deep breathing, pay attention to your body, connect to your body, and really just show me what I need to know. Show me what I need to know, and practice the act of surrender. Just letting go, not trying to control. Don't control. You have no control. And the more you resist, the harder it's going to get. If you just come back to love when it feels challenging or uncomfortable, you'll be okay. I want to talk about bad trips quickly. There really is no negative outcome. If you set your space up and you're protected and you have a good container, which is really important, whether you have a facilitator or somebody holding space for you, or you're doing this alone, your challenging moments, you'll be able to see it like you're the observer, and you'll be able to get exactly what you need to know, even if it's buried trauma, emotions, and memories. But a bad trip usually happens if you're in the wrong setting, and if you're in a place where you're abruptly removed from your sacred space, from your sense of calm, your sense of peace, and your external environment is causing you to have anxiety, right? So you want to make sure that this is all accounted for so you avoid having a bad trip. If something isn't working with you, if you feel challenged, it's good to move. You can yell, learn to cry. You might have to go to the bathroom. You might have to purge. All this is good. Releasing energy. Do jumping jacks, dance. And if you can't move and if you're feeling like kind of paralyzed to your couch or whatever, recognize that you're just the observer of this. This isn't your full reality, and this is a good way to understand that life is not perfect and we have challenges, and this is a good way to learn how to deal with our challenges, and also know that this too shall pass, and let the music carry you, and grunt and yell and cry and do what you got to do, release it, and then come back to love. So integrating back into daily life, usually the weeks ahead after a deep journey, you feel euphoric, you feel calm, you feel like you achieved something, you feel like you got this. And it's really important to stay true to what you discovered. My first intentional mushroom ceremony, I literally blew up my whole life. Everything changed. I started on a path that I never thought I would do. And this is going to happen. The more you work with this, you may see that the people in your life may not serve you anymore. And there's a lot of people you have to let go of, and relationships that you want to walk away from, and jobs that don't serve you. This is what this is about. It's connecting to your soul. So you start living the most authentic life that you have. And it gives you the courage because you've connected to the divine, you've connected to your sense of self, your true authentic self in your spirit, to say, wow, this is not who I am. And if I continue going down that road, I'm going to perpetuate suffering in my life. And I know what it feels like to feel whole now, and in love with myself, and appreciation for myself, and not attached to my stories. And this shit's got to change. And then a whole world opens up for you if you're willing and really willing to embark on that journey. So a plant medicine journey, you have to do the work. This is it. Plant medicine is not the end all of be all. It's really a doorway. It's a doorway to the divine. It's a doorway to you. But every day you got to do the work. And this is through meditation. It's through reprogramming. It's through self-awareness. It's through seeing your thoughts and over and over. Like, what is the loop that you're always in? When it comes to your relationships, your judgment, your separation, your job, your connection with people, how you speak. Everything now becomes a test under a microscope, and you're constantly, the best way to integrate these experiences is to be so self-aware and humble in your experiences and in your life, so that you can really use this to your benefit. Because we don't want to have to keep going back to ceremonies over and over and over again and still have the same outcomes, the same life. Then nothing's really changing, and we're just using these medicines as a crutch, as opposed to tools to help us evolve so that we can come home to ourselves without them. That's my belief. Which is what I just said. The whole universe is inside of us, and these allies are just activating that inside of us. So we really don't need to rely on outside resources to come home to ourselves, but these are definitely helpful allies for us. Whew. So that's a very overview synopsis of how I can talk about this for hours, but I just want to come back to our body and thank you all for witnessing me and being part of this information and these tools. And thank you for the wisdom of the mushrooms that continue to flow through me. And I appreciate, I love, and I'm grateful for all the ways that we have the opportunity to awaken ourselves from the programming and from our separation, and connect back to source and remember who we really are. So I just want to touch quickly on my offerings. Like I said, celestialsmokes.com. You can order them throughout the entire US. They are CBD smokable blended with herbs, organic CBD, 95 milligrams per joint, 17% CBD in the flower, really high quality, immediately soothes your nervous system. I also do celestial shrooms, sacred chocolates. You can DM me for more info on that. You can follow me on Instagram, celestial.alchemica, celestial.smokes. And I would say the Alchemica one is more used, and you can also find me on my personal one through there. Just I share a lot of wisdom bites that come to me from medicine and my own internal journey throughout life. And so I think that completes this presentation. I love you guys so much. If you have any questions, which I'm sure, because I only really touched the high level basics of this, please feel free to email me, Sari at celestialsmokes.com. You can send me a message through celestial.alchemica on my Instagram. And, you know, just Google Sari Starr and there you'll find me. You can connect with me through my websites. And I love you guys so much. And this is really, I mean, I'm so grateful to be a witness to this medicine, to have had this experience with the mushrooms, and to be able to connect with you all and educate more people on the power of using it ceremonially with reverence and, you know, with the highest integrity for ourselves. Because just the last thought, we're fighting so hard for plant medicine to be legal. We fought for cannabis and now we're fighting for the other ones. And if we don't use it with integrity and we don't use it with reverence and something bad happens, this is a disservice to the collective, because that story will permeate throughout the field and will spread, and it will prevent other people from gaining access or wanting to embark. You know, like we were told when we were young, oh, Johnny did LSD and he jumped off a building. You know, that's the story that stuck with us, the program that stuck with us, the and so the lies, you know, because it's not about, he just didn't do it in the right setting, he didn't do it ceremoniously, he did it in a way that was dangerous, right? And so don't underestimate the power of these plants. Never underestimate. Don't come to it with ego like you got this. You got this in a way that you're going to surrender and you're going to take care and nurture yourself. You got this. We got this. But keep a high reverence and sacred connection to this experience, because you'll only benefit more and you'll help others as a result. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to awaken the masses so that we can access our ascension and rise with the divine. I love you guys so much. Have a beautiful day and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much for having me.